Hello, friends. One of the best things for me launching this podcast was all of you who have made yourself known to me. Finding that what I say resonates with you and your desire to find within yourself motivation that has nothing to do with the voices or influences of others. And that's been a big part of this podcast from the beginning. The tagline on the podcast art is 5 minutes of motivation for self-examination. The whole point is to keep it on ourselves, to find out what works for us, and to find the motivation within ourselves to move forward. And you know what that kind of motivation is called? It's called internal motivation. And so from this podcast, birthed a community called Internal Motivators, those who are internally motivated. And these are people that I'm being inspired by. They're like-minded people that I want to remain connected with. You know, even if this podcast dies after a year, these are people I want to be connected to beyond that. So I wanted to turn this Internal Motivators community into an actual community where we can connect easily with other people who are like us. And instead of reinventing the wheel, we are using Facebook to create a private Facebook group called Internal Motivators. And the easiest way to get there is just go to InternalMotivationscom and you'll be redirected to this group. Like any good orderly group, there needs to be some rules. And so those are outlined within the group, as well as how to introduce yourself by answering questions and with a picture, and so we can get to know each other better. We just started last week with a small core, and now it's open to you if you want to be involved. Go to InternalMotivators.com. And to talk a little bit more about what internal motivation is, I'm going to read this post from Tyler Trevuran from his website, riskology.co. He says, when you're externally motivated to make change, the things that drive that change are outside of you and your control. For an addict in rehab, it could be a loss of a relationship, a job, or something else. For you, maybe trying to get in shape, it could be keeping your partner attracted to you, finding a mate, or impressing friends and colleagues. All the data say if these are reasons you do what you do, it probably won't last. External factors change, you can't control them, and trying to keep up with them proves useless over time. But when you're internally motivated, you're driven by a desire to make yourself better. You're only accountable to you, and that means you control the variables that decide whether you succeed or fail. When those factors are stacked in your favor, the odds say you'll make lasting change. The most interesting part, and perhaps the most frustrating for some, is all the outcomes you hope for from your external motivations are often better and longer lasting when you ignore them in favor of finding the internal ones that drive you. All that to say is at InternalMotivators.com, you'll find people who are internally motivated. The group itself may act as external motivation, but these people are internally motivated people who are there to help remind you of your internal motivation. And that is what you can control. And of course, like the name of the podcast, your motivational high five, I like double meanings. And so these people are motivators. And so this Facebook group is private. And the stuff that's being said there are not out for the whole world to see. They're sacred, safe stuff. They are internal. And I hope you'll join us if that's what you're looking for. Hope to connect with you online, InternalMotivators.com. More thoughts on motivation coming up on the next episode. Catch you then.